A very good evening. You're watching DD News Kohima with me, Sinti Runla. A look at our top stories first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches nationwide HPV vaccination program for girls aged 14 years. Nagaland observes National Science Day 2026 under the theme Women in Science Catalyzing Viksit Bharat. Vice President C.B. Radhakrishnan calls upon universities to become engines of research and indigenous knowledge systems. And United States and Israel launch attack on Iran. Israel declares state of emergency in the country. Now the details. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched a nationwide campaign for human papilloma virus HPV vaccination for girls aged 14 years in Ajmer, Rajasthan. The campaign was formally initiated by administering the HPV vaccine to 5 girls. The Prime Minister also inaugurated, dedicated and laid a foundation stone of various projects worth over 16,000 crore rupees. He also distributed appointment letters to more than 21,000 newly selected youths in different departments of the Rajasthan government. Speaking on this occasion, the Prime Minister said that the HPV vaccination campaign is another important step in this direction. He said women are the backbone of every household, and since 2014, the BJP government has launched several schemes to empower women. The Prime Minister added that the BJP government works not with a sense of power but with sensitivity. Department of Science and Technology Nagaland today organized the state-level celebration of National Science Day 2026 in Kohima under the national theme Women in Science Catalyzing Viksit Bharat. Delivering the welcome address, Joint Secretary and ex-officio Director of the department, Zenikonio Vimero, emphasized the importance of science education and the role of women in nation building. Addressing the program as special guest, Principal Secretary to the Government of Nagaland, I. Himato Jimomi, highlighted the need to promote scientific temperament and inclusive growth through science and technology. On the occasion, various awards were conferred under the Nagaland Science Mission, including the Girl Child Award 2025, Research Grants for Indigenous Nagas of Nagaland 2025, Outstanding Achievement in Science and Technology 2025, and the Young Scientist Award 2025. The celebration reaffirmed the state's commitment to scientific excellence and greater participation of women and youth in science and technology.
We are all struggling for limited resources, whatever it may be. Now, in the world today also, I'm sure all of you young minds and like-minded.
I started the herbarium curator. I took up interest in taxonomy. Then I switched over to the Regional Sophisticated Instrumentation Center, sponsored by Department of Science and Technology.
The award is conferred for the Girl Child Award under the Nagaland Science Mission, the most prestigious honor of the Government of Nagaland in science and technology.
Vice President C.B. Radhakrishnan today emphasized that Atmanirbharta is a capacity to innovate, manufacture, conduct research and create solutions. Addressing the 102nd convocation of the University of Delhi today, the Vice President called upon universities to become engines of research, entrepreneurship and indigenous knowledge systems. He added that Viksit Bharat stands for inclusive growth, technological leadership, social harmony, environmental sustainability and transparent and accountable institutions. Mr. Radhakrishnan lauded the graduates, stating that they will shape the India of 2047. He added that the realization of Atmanirbhar Bharta and Viksit Bharat will depend on their integrity, competence, compassion and innovative spirit. He expressed happiness that over 50% of graduates and more than 70% of the gold medalists are women. Meanwhile, Israel launched a preemptive attack against Iran on Saturday, and a major United States attack is underway, plunging the Middle East into a renewed military confrontation and further dimming hopes for a diplomatic solution to Tehran's nuclear dispute with the West. The U.S. military initiated a series of strikes against targets in Iran. 2 U.S. officials told Reuters, speaking on a condition of anonymity. The scope of the air and sea operation was not immediately clear. The campaign is expected to last for multiple days, said a U.S. official. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed in an 8-minute-long video posted on a social media platform that Washington had begun a military campaign in Iran. Meanwhile, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, has said his country has launched preemptive attack against Iran, and he also declared a state of emergency across the country. According to the state media, Iran is preparing to take revenge and deliver strong response. The strikes came amid heightened strain between the United States and Iran over a potential nuclear agreement and growing fears of a wider military confrontation in West Asia.
Transferred to a secure location. The U.S.
India has issued an advisory urging all Indian nationals in Israel to exercise utmost caution and remain vigilant at all times in view of the prevailing security situation in the region. The Embassy of India in Israel, in its advisory, has asked Indian nationals to strictly adhere to the safety guidelines and instructions issued by the Israeli authorities and the Home Front Command. All Indian nationals have been urged to remain in close proximity to designated shelters and familiarize themselves with the nearest protected spaces in their area of residence or work. Indian nationals have been advised to avoid all non-essential and unnecessary travel within Israel until further notice. Further, the Indian Embassy in Tehran has advised Indian nationals in Iran to exercise utmost caution and avoid unnecessary movement following a major joint military strike by Israel and the United States. In an advisory posted on social media X, the embassy urged Indian citizens to remain indoors as far as possible, closely monitor developments and await further guidance. Emergency contact numbers were also issued for assistance. It's time now for a short break. Please stay with us.
पापा फीस ज्यादा है।
बेटा
याद है बोनस के कुछ पैसे हमने दूसरे खाते में रखे थे?
2 साल से खाते में कोई लेन देन नहीं हुआ है, शायद इनऑपरेटिव हो गया होगा।
तो अब बैंक जाके या वीडियो केवाईसी से केवाईसी अपडेट कराओ, खाता होगा एक्टिव एकदम फ्री। चलो
कहाँ?
एडमिशन कराने, खाता हुआ एक्टिव।
आरबीआई कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Welcome back. Global airlines cancelled flights across the Middle East today after the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran, plunging the region into a new conflict. Airspace over Iran and Iraq was empty this morning, maps by flight tracking service Flight Radar 24 showed. Soon after the strikes, several countries in the region closed or restricted their airspace, affecting international flight operations. Airlines began diverting or rerouting services bound for Tel Aviv and other destinations in the region. Meanwhile, Air India's Delhi-Tel Aviv flight returned to the national capital today after Israel launched strikes on Iran. In view of the escalating situation, low-cost carrier Indigo has issued an advisory stating that it is closely monitoring regional developments. And here at home, the Konoma Thevomea Union today hosted a landmark cultural gathering in Kohima, reaffirming the historic brotherhood between the Thevomea clan of Konoma and the Rachime clan of Viswema. The commemorative monolith was unveiled by Minister for Women Resource Development and Horticulture, Saluthonio Kruse. In her address, she said the forefathers had a far-sighted vision for unity rooted in divine connection, expressing hope that the bond would endure for generations. MLA from Kohima, Dr. Tsulhotio Rutso, thanked the two villages for renewing their age-old ties and hoped the clans would grow together with renewed spirit. The program concluded with a traditional hornblow ceremony symbolizing unity and the reaffirmation of the historic bond.
Our Nagaland government said, "Ako pate, you got tejalazo. Moga benufe, ugo pietorzo di, ugo bu, te hahizubu bazam hunze. Tinyonya genieno mi pupogaze, separ MLA sese medambu minister sese. Somono 나가미 도는 테니미 도는 미디서 그래 도츠. 这些 나가미 레슨우 was very proud. The first woman minister in Naga.
ngo keze nu bocha me pele zero kenu he mu keze di ta vigza progress geza sunu keze di thasri keze di tosri work jeti how to be kosa shigado di soja work jugunu ngol du be kosa legado chele thana keti unu Nagame society mohoshali ro kenu prigiza udi ute drive city ke bugaza uthi no city ke ni pu bogada drive city ke ni pu bogada.
Union Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal today said that the Department of Legal Affairs has taken proactive steps to address the growing pendency of cases across the country. He emphasized the need to reduce the backlog at every level of the judiciary, including the Supreme Court, High Courts, District Courts and various tribunals. He said this while addressing the efficient and effective management of Government Litigation Conference in New Delhi. Mr. Meghwal also highlighted that the government aims to gradually reduce litigation and pending cases by strengthening the regular review mechanism. The conference will discuss reducing pending cases through regular review of government litigation, improved coordination and the use of technology. And in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup, Pakistan will face Sri Lanka at the Palikhele International Cricket Stadium, Palikhele, in a Super 8 Group 2 match this evening. The match will begin at 7 p.m. Earlier, England defeated New Zealand by 4 wickets in a Super 8 Group 2 match at R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo last night. And in Super 8 action on Thursday, India defeated Zimbabwe by 72 runs in a crucial Super 8 match in Chennai. And it's time now to look at the weather reports across Nagaland.
Kohima today recorded a maximum temperature of 22 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 8 degrees Celsius, while Dimapur had a maximum temperature of 29 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 14 degrees Celsius. Wokha experienced a maximum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 12 degrees Celsius. Mongkokchung had a maximum temperature of 22 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 9 degrees Celsius. Mon had a maximum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 13 degrees Celsius. Towards the east, Twinsang had a maximum temperature of 15 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 6 degrees Celsius. Zinebuto had a maximum temperature of 19 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 7 degrees Celsius. Phak had a maximum temperature of 18 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 6 degrees Celsius. That's all for the weather report.
Close a quick look at the top stories once more. Prime Minister Narendra Modi launches nationwide HPV vaccination program for girls aged 14 years. Nagaland observes National Science Day 2026 under the theme Women in Science Catalyzing Viksit Bharat. Vice President C.B. Radhakrishnan calls upon universities to become engines of research and indigenous knowledge systems. And United States and Israel launch attack on Iran. Israel declares state of emergency in the country. And that's a wrap for tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.